Silence is often misunderstood. In a world that rewards loudness, quick responses, and constant interaction, silence is seen as emptiness, as if saying nothing means knowing nothing. But silence is not the absence of something, it is the presence of something deeper. It is not weakness, it is strength in its purest, most grounded form. Think of the strongest people you've ever met. They're not the ones who always dominate the conversation or rush to prove their point. They're the ones who listen, the ones who pause before they speak, the ones who are comfortable with quiet because they don't need to fill every space with sound to feel seen. Their silence doesn't come from fear, it comes from clarity. They've learned that not everything demands a reaction, not every moment needs commentary, and not every emotion must be voiced to be real. In silence, we begin to see more. When we stop talking, we start noticing. The world becomes louder in meaningful ways. We hear the unspoken feelings in others. We become more aware of our own thoughts, not just the surface noise, but the deeper truths that often get drowned out by constant stimulation. Silence creates space for awareness, and awareness gives birth to understanding. There is a kind of power that comes from not needing to explain yourself, from knowing who you are without broadcasting it, from being grounded in your own presence so deeply that you're not shaken by someone else's opinion or rush. That kind of silence is rooted in confidence, not passivity. It holds boundaries. It chooses when to speak and when not to, and that choice itself is an act of control, not of others, but of self. We've been taught to associate power with noise, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Not out of defeat, but out of wisdom. Silence doesn't mean you're ignoring the world. It means you're processing it in a different way, a deeper way, one that's not reactive but intentional. Silence is not an absence to be filled. It's a space to be honored, because in that space, strength grows, not the kind that needs to be seen to exist, but the kind that's real, steady, and unshakably your own. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. It's a quiet truth that the world constantly demonstrates, but we so often forget. In our race to be faster, better, more, nature moves at its own pace, unbothered by deadlines or expectations. And still, the seasons change. The trees grow, rivers carve through canyons, life continues. Steady, graceful, complete. Consider a seed. It doesn't sprout the moment it touches soil. It waits, it rests. It receives water, warmth, and time. Then, without noise or urgency, it begins to grow. Inch by inch, root by root, it reaches toward the light, and eventually it becomes a tree, not because it forced itself to grow overnight, but because it followed its own natural rhythm. No panic, no pressure, just quiet progress. This is how the universe works. The moon doesn't rush the sunrise. The tide doesn't try to outrun the wind. Everything unfolds as it's meant to in its own time. And in that timing, there is a lesson for us. We don't have to force what is meant for us. We don't have to run ourselves into exhaustion trying to make life happen. When we align with patience, with presence, with trust, we allow life to bring what's right exactly when it's ready. But this isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing things in rhythm. The river still moves, but it moves steadily, not chaotically. The tree still grows, but it grows deeply, not desperately. Nature teaches us that progress doesn't have to be loud to be real. It doesn't need constant activity to be effective. Real growth is often invisible, quiet, and slow, but it's happening. We live in a culture that romanticizes hustle, glorifies urgency, and rewards speed. But nature reminds us that quality takes time, that beauty is built slowly, that peace is found not in how fast we go, but in how present we are. When we stop rushing, we begin to notice the subtle shifts, the quiet gains, the deeper growth. So let yourself breathe. Let things come together as they're meant to. Keep showing up, yes, but release the need to control every outcome. Like the mountains that rise and the stars that shine, trust that you are part of something bigger. And in that stillness, know everything will be accomplished. We're taught from an early age to take control of our plans, our time, our future. We learn to chase, to grip tightly, to make things happen by force if necessary. Control becomes our comfort. We believe that the tighter we hold on, the more secure we are. But often the opposite is true. The more we try to control everything, the more we block what's meant for us. Real receiving begins when we learn to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the illusion that we can control every outcome. It means making peace with uncertainty, because the truth is, no matter how much we plan or push, life has a rhythm of its own, and when we loosen our grip, we create space for clarity, for alignment, for unexpected blessings. Think about water. If you cup your hands too tightly, it slips through your fingers, but if you open them gently, you can hold it. Life works the same way. The harder we try to force things to go our way, relationships, careers, personal growth, the more resistance we create. But when we ease into trust, when we surrender what we cannot change, life often surprises us in the best ways. Some of the most beautiful moments happen when we stop chasing, the opportunities that find us when we least expect them. The peace that arrives when we stop trying to fix everything, the answers that come when we finally stop asking. Letting go is not passive, it's powerful. It's a decision to believe that we don't always need to have the map to reach the destination. It's not easy. It takes courage to step back when every part of you wants to step in. It takes strength to stay still when you've been taught to always move, but this is where growth happens, not in the force, but in the flow. In the quiet knowing that what is meant for you will not miss you, that what you release may return in a better form, or be replaced with something even more right. When you let go of control, you don't lose power, you shift it. From external force to internal peace, from frantic chasing to quiet receiving, and in that surrender you'll often find you were never lacking, you were just holding on too tightly to see what was trying to reach you. In the end, silence is not emptiness, it is space. Space for truth, for growth, for life to unfold as it's meant to. When we stop trying to control every moment, when we allow ourselves to slow down and simply be asterisk, we begin to realize not everything needs to be chased. Not everything needs to be spoken. Some of the most profound answers come when we listen, not when we talk. Some of the most beautiful things find us when we stop trying to force them. Stay silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because you trust what's yours will come. Stay still, not because you're stuck, but because you're grounded. Life has a way of meeting us right where we are, when we're finally at peace enough to receive it. Thank you.